Okay, I think should have it.
Okay, yeah, I see stuff.
Okay, can you hear, anybody hear me talking, or?
There's the recorders on.
Okay.
Kind of okay.
Are we good, you think?
I don't hear my voice anyways.
Yeah. Oh, who gave me that chair?
Let me see.
That's a setup, if I
Wasn't on your boss.
They want me to sit with my chin on the table.
Got the sound on?
That's a sugar.
No, we're on.
You can hear it?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, yep, we're good.
We're reconvening the adjourned meeting of July, or what was that, June 24th, I'm sorry, to tonight at 5 p.m. I'll call the town board meeting to order and ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Motion to approve the minutes. Has anybody seen the minutes? I think Jesse sent those to us electronically.
Yes.
And I think there's a copy of them here.
There's a copy here. They look good to me.
Yep.
I didn't notice anything.
I'll second.
Wait.
So we got a motion by,
Just a couple little things.
so do that in discussion. We got a motion by Sandy, got a second by Ronnie, discussion?
Okay, on the top of the fourth page there, referring to the Goose Bay ramp. Really needed, like Rob Campany updated the board, it just said updated the board. And then, the next to the last, no, not the next to last page. So the third page from the end, referring to the street safety committee, goes, two council members on the committee, Councilman Mike Fair will attend the meetings, and second, I thought we were gonna alternate.
We are. Yep, so we should clarify that we're gonna.
Right, so I'm just saying I'm not going every one of them.
Yeah. So we'll clarify that then. And have her, go ahead.
No, I'll just say that's it then, so
Any other comments?
That's what we talked about, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, I was on the impression nobody was, not a single person was committed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, there was gonna be two, but then that's.
There's gonna be two, but as we
Right.
said, if somebody can't make it or whatever, another person can fill in, so we kinda let all the board members can be involved, two at a time.
I agreed to go to the first one, which is, I don't know if you saw that stuff around.
Yeah,
Okay.
next Tuesday, I think it is.
All those in favor of approving these minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Privilege of the floor. Our phone numbers are on there for them to call or to text message, or Ronnie, you get emails too there?
Yes. Somehow. I'm not so sure about.
I do have a comment from somebody on our speed sign that we have on Walton Street, and they think it's in the wrong spot. They think it needs to be up the hill further, or possibly facing the other direction, because they have a tremendous of people that are coming down into town that way, going very fast.
I think the problem goes both directions, to be quite honest. So I, maybe like leave it where it is for a little while and then move it to, I think the problem is both directions.
I think it is too, because I know that Tommy Penn tells me that it's going up too, where somebody else told me it's going down, so I think you're right.
And, I know like when you had it over Westminster Park, you had a readout and you had some astronomical numbers on, like somebody was really flying down through there. Have we gotten readouts from this?
I haven't downloaded anything of it.
Okay, be curious to see.
From this one down here?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's something we should do, Mike, that we pull up next to that and download the readings.
Now that, I'm not saying that, we've already bought this thing, but there are some that they sell that will do both. both directions. This only does one direction, so you have to physically turn it around.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, that can be done without a big deal, right?
right. Just, it's
That's
on
the
a
nice thing
trailer.
about that
just-
trailer.
Just move the trailer,
Yeah.
yeah,
It probably should be, kept them
Yeah.
both ways.
yeah. That's the only public comments I have so far. Sandy, you have anything?
I don't know how, they're not gonna be able to email in because I'm not sure how to log into the email. So they really need to call, either text message, the 2 cell phones. Cause when I sat down here last time, the email was already up.
You can't bring that email up, huh?
If you tell me how to do it, I'd be happy
I don't
to.
think I know how.
Well, that's 2 of us. So, I mean,
You got the numbers, right?
yeah, got the 2 numbers, so
Yep.
that should work.
Okay, so if somebody does call us or whatever, we'll interrupt the meeting, or after we get done with an item, we'll go to their item, if everybody's okay with that. In the meantime, we'll just start with Judy, and the Mud Lake grant situation.
Okay, I gave you all a handout of some information I put together. The best opportunity for a grant funding for that project is through the New York State Recreational Parks Program, which is federal money administered by New York State. And because it's federal money, the village has, or the town has to pay 20%, and they will pick up 80% of the project. And the town's 20% doesn't have to just be your money. It can be volunteer services, it can be workforce, it can be donations. There's several different ways of funding your 20%. The problem is you've got to spend the money first and they reimburse you, okay?
Is there a maximum? I see there's a minimum on here.
Maximum 25%, I mean a minimum, no, there's a
Dollar amount.
maximum is
Dollar.
way up, way past what your project would be. I think it's like 250,000.
Right, because a lot of the ones we're applying for, 3 or 4 of them for the rec center,
Oh.
and they had 500,000 maximum, so on and so forth, different levels.
Right, and it depends on the, the year of service. I mean, how long is that project gonna last?
Yeah.
It goes by the number of years that you expect it to be in service.
Do we have any rough ideas on dollar amount? So,
No, because I don't have a plan.
haven't started yet.
Right,
Yep.
right, that's why I'm sitting here, because I wanna define the scope of the project. I can't go forward unless I know what you really
Yep.
wanna do. I've never met to have you tell me that, so I was hoping you could, pinpoint it for me so that I'll have a direction to go in. I looked at both, there's several options. The option I would pick is non-motorized vehicles where it's gonna be a walking, biking, hiking, bird watching trail. Because the amount of upkeep you have to do on anything, you can't have both. You've gotta have one or the other. So the most benefit to your taxpayers would be the walking trail, a narrow trail that's non-motorized.
So does that particular type of grant, does that allow us to fix the shoreline that we need to do?
Oh, yeah.
Does it allow us to put a boat ramp in?
That's what I'm gonna find out. That's why I need to have you tell me what you want to do.
Yep.
And then I'll go forward from there. I've been in touch with, Sunshine Jenkins at the local park office. She would be my contact person. And she and I have, emailed back and forth quite a bit. So she will help me with anything I need to do, for the grant process. The bad part is we're in this situation for COVID-19, and the funding is not open yet. And they only do it every odd year for the parks part. So the funding was there in 19. It isn't open in 20 anyway, so we're lucky about that. But because of the situation, New York, financial situation, they haven't opened around yet. So, but she said, go forward, do what you would normally do, follow. I don't have a guideline yet or a timeline, but she said follow the guidelines from 2019, and so I'll go from there.
That's not a terrible thing that it's not available this year because we're not prepared
That's right.
this year.
That's right. I didn't worry about it because I looked that up way before when you first contacted me and found out that it wouldn't be available in 20 anyway. So we had a lot of time. But now it's even 21 is iffy, but we'll just, you know, we'll be prepared, so,
Yep.
but let you know that if it doesn't go through in 21, you have to wait till 23.
As they say, the terminology they use is have it be shelf ready,
Shall
Yeah.
we?
shovel ready, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want the other one.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
can you get multiple grants for the same project?
Well, there are other funding opportunities. I put them on the bottom of the list, America Walks, Outdoor Recreation Legacy, and, they have a Park and Trail Partnership Grant. So we have other options. I don't think you can in the same year, ask for the same project for money, is that what you're asking?
Because, I mean, right now, I mean, like what Brent talked about, one of the real pressing needs is the shore, like the Mud Lake Beach
Right,
spot.
Right.
Because, you know, erosion control, that really needs to get taken care
Right.
of. I'd like, and then, like a kayak or canoe launch, you know, I understand it's like a series of things that,
Right.
you know, are more important than, you know, some other aspect.
okay. But that's what you have to define to me, what you want to do, and what the order in which you want to accomplish each step of the project. And then, I'll go from there.
These
So-
other possibilities that you have on the bottom, are they state or federal or both?
They're both.
Both.
They're, yeah, it's just ones I found on the internet, and they look like they're walking trails, basically. You have to excuse my voice, stuff out there is not working with me. So you know, if you want me to look into that further, but I think what you want to accomplish, you could do it all in one grant, one project, couldn't you? It's all Mud Lake Trail.
Well, the only reason why I say that is, it sounds like we're limited to like 250,000, or is that greater than that?
Oh, I think it's great, but.
Oh, okay. But, you know, I was, you know, we could find ourselves in these, you know, when you get the trail the way we would like it, and all these other things, you start totaling up, you know, next thing you know, we're with a number, I was afraid we're gonna get past the maximum.
Oh, well, let's start with the beginning, and then we'll see how far you have to go. Okay? I don't know how to answer that, Mike. I don't, to me, this is not a $250,000 project. I mean, I've done a lot of grants.
Okay?
We haven't even decided what we wanna do yet.
That's right.
Yeah, I decided,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start with, what do you wanna do? What's your priority? Mike took me over, I saw the trail, I think it's a wonderful idea. Eventually, you'd like to connect with the Conservancy's trail system, which is a great idea, but let's start with what you wanna do for that piece of railroad track that you're talking, a line that you're talking about, and the kayak launch. I think that's
Does
great.
this also, you know, these grants involve acquisition of property?
Yes, there is acquisition of property. There are a lot of forms to fill out. I attached it, just to give you an idea of what we have to go through to get this grant, or any grant. I attached the list of forms that have to be completed. If you are going to get a right-of-way over somebody's land, then you have to get an ROW, permission from them that they accept it. If you want part of the grant could be acquisition of property, if that's what you choose to do, as part of the total project. Okay? So, define what you want to do.
Wouldn't we have to own the property before they give us a grant and do something to it?
Say that again, we have,
Would they give us a grant to put the boat ramp in if we don't own the property?
Oh, no.
Okay, so
No.
do we own the property? Well, somebody said to tell them to left when you put in there.
well, I'm not sure the exact property lines down there, but in relation to what you're saying, if we're gonna apply to put a boat ramp in, and I agree with Mike on the kayak launching area, obviously we wanna do it on our land.
Oh,
And, as far as land acquisition, that's gonna take a long time, there's a lot of papers, as she said, so I think that we need to work with what land we have
What
down
we've
there.
got, right?
And we can ask, Rob Bustler at LaFave to provide us a map. I've seen a map quite a while ago of what the town owns down there, and,
It's to the right of the main road going in there, right?
well, where that kind of boat ramp thing is now, I believe we own that.
Yeah, I think so too.
But Kyle owns that piece in the middle, in between.
The sewer plant end? That's what you're talking, okay, talking about?
We're down at the park.
Okay, that's where it really should be.
Yeah, that's where it is right now, except for mud. Nothing.
Yeah, it's a real half, you know, it's a pretty shoddy boat ramp, also, this is a,
And we're not talking about like a boat launch trailer like in the St. Lawrence River, we're just talking about kayaks, canoes.
Same thing, we got a grass lake.
yeah.
Give them in there.
But you don't own that property, or you don't know?
No, we need to get a survey map from Rob Bussler, from
Well, let's
LaFave.
start with something we do know, okay? Let's go in a direction. I know you want to restore the whole trail and shore up, cause I have the drawings that,
I mean, there's a lot
Yeah.
of work that needs to be done on the trail to make it a nice walking trail,
right.
and
But you can put signage up, you can put benches, you can do anything.
I was just gonna say, we might even wanna put a small, area for people to sit on the side of the lake there.
Right,
You know,
right.
whether you call it a pavilion or the things that you buy that are portable that you know, that they place.
Like a gazebo.
Yeah, like a gazebo, that's
Oh,
separate,
okay.
yeah.
Which end of that would you do it?
Which end?
Where would you wanna put that?
I don't know.
You don't know, okay.
A lot of that probably
I would
depends
say
on the
where the-
survey, where we got room to actually put it.
Where we have room and where the view is the best,
Yeah,
the most scenic part of it.
And restore the trail, because it's really torn up right now from
Yeah.
some other use, okay,
And Rob Campany's got plans to restore the shoreline,
got it.
and I think his ballpark estimate, does he have a number on there?
No,
His ballpark estimate to me was $30,000, and that increased when we met with the DEC down there, because, Mike, you were there at that meeting, because the DEC found another 120 feet of shoreline that we did not have in that plan,
Oh,
that they felt needed to have the same type of restoration as what is in that plan, so
okay,
I think that Rob felt that was it could cost another $10,000 to do that extra area.
all right, so,
And those numbers that I'm giving you are just kind of rough
Yeah.
numbers when I tried to get something out of Rob, what we were looking at.
well, that's one of the other really important points. You know, for the project, you have to select an engineer. You can't, I'm not an engineer, I'm a grant writer, so we would have to have firm drawings and designs
Yeah.
for it. So that would be a thing that, well, on your list of things to do, that's something imperative.
any
I did
reason
talk
to
to
use
Rob.
anyone other than Rob?
No, Rob's done a lot of work down there too.
So he's familiar with it?
Rob's been involved with the DEC, Rob's done our application for a permit to do the shoreline, he'd already
Okay,
done that.
okay,
And that's the part that's gonna have to change, because that's when they told us they needed a bigger area done.
so I guess you.
I mean, it
decide
depends
who
on what
wanted
the-
to hire.
Depends on what the rest of the board thinks here, but, you know, Rob's done a bunch of work down there, he knows the deal.
And I talked to him, and he's willing, you know, he's willing to meet and to talk more about the project, but I can't go any further with him until you decide you wanna hire, who you want to hire is up to you.
I think it'd be more cost effective to use him. The learning curve on bringing somebody else in, I think it would
Wouldn't
definitely.
make sense.
So maybe we need to make,
Wouldn't make sense
maybe we
to
need to make a motion then to say that we're gonna hire him, so that will give her access to Rob, so that she can talk to him.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ron,
I'll second that.
second by John, and that is to use, RJC, Fourth Coast, to do the engineering for this grant application. Any other discussion?
Hadn't we already had them hired? Because you said he'd already met with DEC and all of that,
He's
so.
been there several times.
he hasn't been professionally hired for this
I
project.
just wanna, I figure if we do this, it opens the door for Judy to deal with Rob officially.
There is an old application from 2000, or, not an application, but whoever put this together, 2007. It's for, Indian Lakes Engineering, Tony Felder. And there's a lot of information, but this is old, and it was specifically for a motorized trail. So there's not, I gleaned it, but,
Yeah.
the data in here, this is basically what the project is look like when you're finished with when we're submitting it, so.
That's something that Scott Mueller did, and he's talked to me about it for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah,
And he worked for RCAP, whatever that stands for.
right, RCAP Solutions,
Yep.
yeah,
And, which is a federally or state subsidized organization.
okay.
And, he just wanted us to have that because they obviously did a lot of work to create that document.
A lot of work, I mean,
Yeah.
it's got awesome pictures, and
Yeah.
it's a
And he's
very fine document.
he's a Redwood guy, and he would be very willing to help us with anything he can help.
Okay, that
Yeah.
sounds great.
Is there, is the only reason we're not going with motorized because of Felder's blocking off that portion that can't be used? of the
Very
thing?
good reason.
I mean, is that the primary reason why? I mean, you know as well as I do, we've had a lot of trouble in Redwood because the four-wheelers, Redwood is a very heavily traveled area for four-wheelers. And
Can I
I'm
interrupt just a
concerned-
minute? That's something you all decide, because if you're not ready to decide something now, I'm
that's why
wasting
we're
my
having a
time.
discussion about that.
Spin their wheels on that, because Kyle has shut that down, they can't go through anyway, so.
I won't do a motorized one. I'll be straight out honest with you.
And besides that, that's
I
what's
won't
tearing
do
the
it.
shoreline up.
Right, I think it's a good question that Sandy's got.
I still wanna ask the questions,
Okay.
because by taking that away, cause I know I see them down behind and they park and they unload right there at the playground, and they use that trail, and then they go down to Route 37 and get on there, and I'm worried about that traffic getting pushed to the road, cause I think Brent was telling me the other day that the police were down there because the four-wheelers were going up and down Route 37, and I'm just wondering about other options for them, because I see that as becoming a problem.
See, one of the problems with making it motorized, as John just said, is that if we want this thing to be motorized, there's a piece of land in between that has a big metal gate across it. And
Is he going to allow walkers?
he's opened that up to motorized twice. And he shut it down twice, I believe, and it's because of misuse on his land. And I don't know who's talked to him lately, but I definitely was under the understanding that he would allow walking.
Walking through, another thing is, I think Dale's got a lot of input in that, and I know Dale very well, Dale says it will never happen, that means it will never happen. So, in my mind, I better talk about something else, because it's not gonna let them through there.
Well, the discussion we had before, it seems like the two uses are not compatible.
Right.
No,
I
and
think
as
it
Judy
needs to
said,
be
you
one or
can't
the
do
other.
I
both.
understand what you're saying, because we've thought about this, it does cut the traffic, I mean, like for Timmy's and you, but too bad, so sad, it's not gonna happen, because they abuse it, and they've been shut out of there.
Right,
And the only other way they got to come in is down 37.
right.
Yeah. So, you know, that's the deal, that gate and that piece of land that's owned in between causes is definitely a roadblock as far as it being motorized.
But they can walk through there, nobody cares about that, I'm quite sure. They come in their four-wheelers and spin it and throw stones against the siding and break the siding, and he wanted it repaired, oh yeah, we will, they never did, so he shut the gate, that's it, he gave him one chance. Well, twice, actually.
They actually put a couple big signs up that said that he's giving them one chance.
Yeah.
And
And
I
I'm
think-
sure if they'd behave themselves, they'd be still going through there.
And it just seems that you fix that all up and it remain motorized, eventually it'll end up looking like it is right now with time. With the fact that it gets abused as far as the spinning of the wheels and everything else.
And the shoreline gets tore up before.
Yeah.
So how are we going to keep them out at the other end?
That'll be part of the design.
The way we have it right now, we have big rocks down there
Right.
that you can walk between. And you can't, I mean, I think we had to move those rocks closer together because they wouldn't let four-wheelers through it, but they were going through it with dirt bikes.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that we can figure something out that'll,
And then the other signage, that'll be part of it too, yeah. So make it
And you
really-
can, in the design of the project, you could put something up there that, would prohibit them from coming through.
I mean, Timmy Felder was involved and was very strong about allowing it to be motorized, and anybody with businesses down there. Sandy has a business down there, I have a business down there, Timmy has a business down there, and when I mean down there, I mean down at that end. You know, there is a lot of four-wheeler traffic at times. But our situation is with the land in between that we don't own or control. And if we can get a grant to do this, I think you're gonna end up with a very nice looking walking trail, type of walking trail.
Yeah.
And we put a pavilion in there, and we put different areas for people to stop and rest and sit alongside the lake.
Yeah, that would be very nice. You could, there's an area there that would be lovely to put some benches where they could be right down near the water. It has to be cleaned out, there's some clean out to do, but that certainly could be part of the project.
There's a sand beach there,
Yeah.
not too far from the sewer input though.
Now, one of the things that was brought up, I don't know that there's enough room down there, is to put this trail in and then put the motorized trail next to it or off to the side.
I don't think there's enough room.
We don't know how much land the town owns or what the deal is there, so I think we gotta get a survey map, and I don't think that is
I
feasible.
mean, there could be, the footprint could be big enough, but it's wetlands. It's a lake on one side and swamp on the other. I mean,
And they're still not gonna get by Dales and
No,
Kyle's.
that's the other, yeah, that's it, I mean, as far as that goes. But I mean, something else I've mentioned a few times is, we own quite a bit of property in the area of the sewage treatment plant.
Yep.
We've built some spot where people, you know, the Indian River Lake, or
Conservancy, yeah.
well, not the Conservancy, but there's the four-wheelers. They have the trail the other way.
Big trail, long trail.
So if we provided some kind of place for them to at least get that far and
Yeah.
park, and, you know, and they could walk the rest of the trail to.
I mean, we
whatever
talked
it is
about
that
putting
they
a
want.
parking lot up there at the end where, by the sewer
I'm
plant.
just trying to kind of some compromise, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's not a mile from that point to, say, the roadhouse or anything like
No.
that, I mean, I don't know.
Any other questions? We were gonna make a motion to allow, to hire Rob.
Right, I think we're still in the discussion on that.
I'm done discussing.
Any more discussion?
Nope.
Motion was by Ron, second was by John. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none. So that gives you, you know, you talk to Rob, and
Okay,
I'll definitely have a conversation with him and tell him what we've done tonight,
okay, good.
so that he can do that. And I need to be reminded tomorrow to call, Rob Bushler at LaFave White McGivern and ask him for a survey map of the town property.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I marked down that we need a survey, okay. The other big thing that I'd like you to do is need another resolution. You see my number one, we need a resolution to name the responsible local official authorized to accept grant funds and execute a contract with the state. I assume that would be Brent.
I'll make that motion.
Who's gonna be that person?
You be the RLO,
Huh?
town supervisor.
Yeah. But then the town supervisor then can appoint a project manager. And that's needed, somebody who can watch the project as it's going, making sure, a project manager has a lot of duties to perform. But they meet the specifications of what that project is supposed to be doing.
Some kind of engineer, right?
I would say that's probably a candidate.
So
I
Ron,
need a second to my motion, I made a motion.
so Ron's got a motion
I'll
to
second
appoint me
that.
the RLO, second is who? Raise your hand awful fast. Okay, second by Sandy, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none. Next?
And as we get further into the project, if you're gonna use, your workforce for part of your 20%, you have to specify who's gonna be involved in that project from your employees.
Well, a lot of it would be,
Nicole?
well, we get the plans and the scope and everything, then we'll know what part.
Right,
Right.
that's
We
because
can do.
eventually, so you're gonna have to be thinking about that
Yep.
too. Okay, all right, so I'm pretty much set on the direction to go in. The other project that Mike had addressed was the file organization for your records. I met with Jesse and surveyed this room and the vault, and as I said here, it's a disaster. I mean, there are boxes with papers in that you have no idea. The problem we have, and I'm gonna be very honest with you, the town has gotten 8 previous grants for records management,
What do you use it for?
and it's a mess.
It is a mess.
It's a mess. So what worries me is, I'm gonna go ahead with this, because, I talked to the regional director, and he said, go ahead with, again, they're on hold for funding until the COVID thing was over, but, what's gonna happen? I'm afraid they're gonna look and say, hey, we've given you, and I just summed it up easily, it's up over $150,000 for files management, and if anybody walked in here from that funding organization, they would be appalled.
Did that money actually get spent?
I don't know, but I can tell you.
I mean, I don't know of it, but I'm sure it
No.
came and it went.
It started in 1995, I mean, this is way past inventory planning, inactive records, archival records, active records, active records, inactive, active. You've had 2 inactive records, but 2006 was the last grant, and that's the last funding
Do you have the amounts there?
Pardon?
Do you have the amounts that we got?
Oh, yeah, I added them up, it's a lot of money.
Well, the reason why I asked the question the way I did it, is one thing to say that you get a grant for $100,000, but it's a reimbursable grant, right? So you'd have to spend the money to get reimbursed, you don't just get the $100,000, right?
Oh, these are all the grants for 150.
Well, no, I'm just saying, did
No, this is
we
making
actually
money.
do work that we went against these grants?
No, they give you the money.
So we actually got the money, and then we actually spent the money.
I don't know, I
I was involved in 1 or 2 of these grants back when I was on the village board. Those years of those grants are 95 through 2006.
Uh-huh.
So I wasn't here, obviously, for that, but I was involved when the village got some of those grants. And what the village spent the money on, the grant money, is we bought shelving,
You have shelving.
we bought the mechanicals in the rooms to put the things on,
Right.
is what we did, and I got a feeling that that's what happened here.
Yeah, well, we didn't buy $150,000 worth of shelving.
No.
I hope not anyway.
No, it's.
I'm in the wrong business.
Well, there's,
I guess I shouldn't throw dollar amounts out at you, Mike, because it kind of
Okay,
warps your thinking, but each grant, one was 5,000, and then another 5,000,
Yeah.
8,000, 6,000, 9,000, 7,000, 11,000, 5,000, 3,000, 8,000, 8,000, 36,000, 36,000, 16, and 16, so
Oh.
that's where it adds up. They're small grants, but
okay.
the shelving is in one of the rooms, I don't remember. The shelving is there, it's good shelving, it's what they,
in the vault,
in the vault.
yep.
But you've got wooden shelving someplace that you absolutely cannot store your records on wooden. It's got to be the steel grade shelving that they approve. Plus that, it's organizing them. There's a retention schedule that goes along with getting these grants. And so many years, you have to hold certain records. Well, there's records in there from years ago that's taking up valuable space. Jesse says you're out of space, but those should be they should be destroyed. Certain records you have to hold forever, employee records, certain things, legal things you have to hold, but there's a lot of garbage in there that you need to have shredded. There's a shredding company. When I was with the village, we just sorted them out every year. You have to look at what you can retain on the boxes you put, destroy in, and that's the year. And so all of those records get put aside, and the shredder guy comes out and you throw them away. So you have a constant organization of inactive records. Because you have to hold those, like FOIL requests. People can enter FOIL requests, and if you can't find the records, that's something pretty important in New York State, that you abide by the request.
Are you aware of the grant that the court got for their records?
No, but Jesse told me about it. You're gonna put cages and.
Yeah, the cages are all right there.
Oh, and where those are going,
So the whole end of kind of that 2 sections of shelving in that room are mostly their records.
Okay, yeah.
And their records
okay.
are all gonna go in cages and be under lock and key.
Okay, that's.
So that's gonna clean up, whether it be a quarter of the room or a third of the room, I'm not
Right,
sure.
right. But I looked on shelves and there's just things thrown there. I mean, deposit slips and stuff, you know, financial records are financial records. It's just, I couldn't believe it. That was
Yeah.
just taken care of like that. But, and some boxes are marked because that's part of the grant that they got along the way, the records management. I've written a lot of those grants with Clayton, and, I just, it really makes life easier for everybody if your records are organized and gotten rid of if you don't need them anymore. So I'm comfortable going forward with that one on my own. I really got enough input from Jesse, and, it'll be an inactive record. And then you can go forward and do archival if you want to. I'd rather see current records organized the way they're supposed to be. She's done a good job of, since 2014 forward, she's organized them, at least so she can use them, but they're not really in the format they're supposed to be, which, I'm not taking anything away from her, because I don't think, unless you've been through this, you don't know how it's supposed to happen.
Yep.
But, so I would go forward with that one too, and, I got the regional director who, he said he'd get in touch with Jesse, and then we would all, go forward in the right direction. Okay? Any questions on that?
Yep. I'm good with that.
We need to follow up on this stuff.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
What? The records?
No, I'm just saying, that what you just got done describing is, we've done what we seem to do a lot of. We have great ideas, we get to a certain point, and then we just kind of don't follow up on it.
Well, it happens.
We just need to get it done.
It happens, Mike, a lot of, I've worked for many governments, and it happens. You gotta have somebody, that's the other thing. To make that happen, you have to appoint a records management officer. That person is in charge of making sure those records stay where they're supposed to, disposing of records that are, have passed their time, getting rid of them, to make sure. That's why, if you don't appoint a records management officer, they won't let you, you won't get a grant. And they realize that this happens all
I
the
thought that was
time.
the town clerk.
I think that we have a RMO, and I believe that's Jesse, and that's the
Okay.
town clerk.
Oh, good.
Because we had a discussion at a previous meeting, because I read in the New York State manual that you can have more than one records management officer.
Okay,
Because we had considered having a second records management officer, and we never did that. I believe we just have one, but that's something we should check on, and we should check with Jessie to see.
right.
I believe she's the RMO.
The problem there now, she's singly in her office, and it's hard for one person to keep up with the records and do your everyday work. I've seen it in several offices. That's really hard to do, but she's the most likely person to be an RMO. Just keep that in mind, because,
Yep.
and I can certainly come in and guide her to help her out with where that's
Yep.
gonna go. But this will be a while, and the funding, as I say, won't be available probably till next year.
I mean, we had times last year when Cheryl was here as the deputy, that she was looking for things to do.
Right.
And started going through those records, and brought boxes and boxes of those records out, and had them stacked up, and they were labeled. And then, I don't know if you guys remember, the board looked at what was in each box, okay? And we had a list that she had talked to the state representative who actually came here, and told us what records we could dispose of and which ones we couldn't.
Okay,
So we did dispose of a bunch of records.
okay.
And then there was some that we could dispose of that we didn't, and the reason we didn't is because we had an unbelievable amount of FOIL requests for items that went back into those years, the things that we had that we could legally dispose of. So we decided we better not do that.
But legally, you can dispose of records, even though they FOIL you for them. You just say that they're you follow the schedule, and if that sufficient date was such, you disposed of them. I mean, that's
Well-
normal, that's legal.
We were kinda worried about that because this town
I know.
in the past said that they disposed of things that they shouldn't, and they did it on purpose, so we just were trying to be proactive and not throw things away that were questionable.
Yeah, I know, I've run into that too, and
Yep.
but some of the boxes, you don't even know what's in them. I mean, there's just piled, and then there's that great big bin that's got the supervisor's name on, the records are just thrown in there, and I'm thinking,
I mean, I don't know what the requirements are, but we found boxes and boxes in there of the envelopes that people sent their tax payments in. And I mean boxes of those envelopes. Anybody remember seeing any of that? Cause it was just, all those envelopes that they were mailed in were gone. And then we could still go back there today and show you some of them.
why?
That's the question,
That's
why?
ridiculous. That's
When they
ridiculous.
had the ones from, when they had the cards or whatever for the landfill, they had boxes and boxes of them
Yeah,
Right,
for the
that
landfill.
serves no purpose.
boxes.
No.
Yeah.
No, we don't need those, I mean, even,
Well, I think
like
there
the
were-
golf course for, the village, they, they get the receipts every day, but then you financially write those in a spreadsheet or something, and you don't keep all that stuff. It's just, that's where the room, you really need that room to get your records organized.
Yep.
So, it's, but I would just as soon go forward with that one also, and, be ready for when the funding starts. If I have your permission to do that, I'm all set to do it. So you have a records management officer, okay, so,
So do we need a motion?
Put that in your notes that we check on that too, to make sure.
okay.
Because if we only have one records management officer, and somebody needs to get in there to look at the records, and that person's not in the building, we can't go in, is that the way it works, or?
No, that is, the records is in charge of making sure they stay organized.
Okay,
No, Jesse can go, if she's not here, anybody can
so
go.
if the town supervisor wants to go in there, he can do that.
Absolutely.
Even the vault?
Not the vault.
I don't know about that, that's
No,
your,
there's a big sign posted on that door as to why we can't go in the vault.
okay.
But that's different.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Well, you have it's
I don't
5 or
know.
10 days to fill a FOIL request. You have that much time.
I thought that was the same thing.
And if you can't, you just must answer it, whether you can fill it or not, you answer it. And you say, we got your request, we're so sorry, those records are currently, unavailable, and we will fill it as soon as we can. As long as you answer that request with some kind of an explanation why you can't give them the records, you're legally okay.
I was gonna say, you've got 10 days to do that.
Yes.
And then in that notice, you have to tell them when you think they will be
When you
available.
think, exactly. So you know the drill, yeah, okay, that's exactly right, yeah.
So,
So
Okay.
do we need a kind of motion to have Judy go forward on the records management grant?
I would say we should have a resolution to let her do that.
Because didn't at the last meeting, didn't we do something in regard to both of these?
Well, we did it in relation to Judy, to just have her so she could start going ahead and working on this. I don't know that we specified exactly what the names of these grants are, that it wouldn't hurt us to do that now. We already did the,
I think we did,
For the
I
trail
think we
and this?
did for both, because I questioned the bookkeeping, I said, what is this? It looks like it's something different, and
Right.
that's when Mike explained it, so we did do both of them last time.
okay.
Okay,
Then we'll-
sounds good, you done with me?
Is that it?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I gave you all a little blurb, and
Yep.
I didn't give you, if you ever need to get a hold of me or questions, I can give you my cell phone, Mike,
Yeah,
and my email, so my email is really J. Cornick.
Are we gonna want any kind of like say monthly or something like that?
Report,
On your
I said
progress?
that, yeah, and when I did my proposal, I said I would give you, an accounting of what I've done, yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great.
At Verizon.net,
Okay.
yeah. I want to get as much from you as I can before I leave for Florida, because there's no, I worked on it while I was in Florida to start with, because Mike had contacted me. So it can be all done and ready to go, whether I'm here or not, okay?
They may not allow you back in that state, where you're gonna go.
I don't know, I'm worried, I know, that we may not choose to go back. It's, very scary. And it's elderly people, they're all old. It's, not fun. But we live on the west coast, so this is all really up and down the east coast right now, so, yeah, I may be here for the winter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I go out that door?
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Have a good night, thank you. The next item on the agenda is discussion on hiring DPW labor. Nicole, readiness applications. Does anybody have applications in front of them?
No, I've seen those.
I would ask that the applications go to her. I gave Nicole one application, a few days ago. Are you there? Yeah. Looking for those applications for the DPW position that I gave you. The one that I gave you? There wasn't a second one? Where is that one? Okay. Okay, I'll go grab that then. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Said we only have one. I had talked to Trevor. Trevor told me he was gonna do one, and we have one more that somebody dropped off.
Okay.
I'll go grab that. Did anybody see or hear anything that
This,
Trevor,
this is the one and only one that we've received?
yeah, Trevor told me that he was filling out an application.
Why would he have to fill one out when he's already an employee that's just laid off?
I think, I
Cause he saw our advertisement in the paper.
think procedure wise,
And procedure wise, because he was laid off, he wasn't furloughed, he was laid
Yeah.
off.
and there's no right of return, as like say with a union, you get laid off, and then if you're hiring, the person that's laid off has a right to the job. In that case, there is none.
I mean, I'll just give my take on this procedure, or not procedure, but where we're at. This is just my feelings, is that,
Are we in executive session or no?
no, we can't go into executive
Okay.
session until we are gonna discuss the
Okay, I just noticing.
past history.
Okay, I'm just saying the
So
action.
we're in public, yeah, that's if we're gonna go to discuss the past history about one of these employees. I'm just talking about the position in general, which is
Okay.
public information. My take on this is that in the last 2 days, I've listened to the news a lot. And there's a huge question as to whether these schools are going back to regular session.
Oh, yeah.
And if these schools don't go back, or if they have some type of different form of it, they're talking about classes for certain kids 2 days a week and for other kids 2 days a week and all kinds of things. What I'm getting at is sports teams
Oh, yeah.
and hockey and our rink. One of the main purposes of this DPW person is the rink. That rink job starts in September and ends in April. So I'm thinking for this particular job, we might wanna go on hold. What do we have for somebody like that to do now? We do need somebody, because my next thing that I put on the agenda is we do need somebody 2 or 3 days a week to help Byron at the dump. Saturdays and Sundays, or Friday, Saturdays and Sundays. I was gonna suggest that we ask Trevor to come back and do that.
Talking about the rink, I mean, that brings up an interesting point, because if you take the high school teams out of the demand, I don't know how we can justify having.
No possibility of any Canadian.
No.
This is bad. This is
I
real
mean,
bad.
the thing is, you've got the Clayton rink, you've got the Bay rink, they're 11 miles apart. If you take the high school teams out of that, the demand could be met by one rink,
Easily.
yeah.
Easily.
Well, it's something that, I mean, we're not there yet, but, yeah, it would certainly make sense to hold off.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on this situation? I know Byron's been busy up there.
Yeah, the numbers that you shared were very positive.
So
I'm not sure what I should, how freely I speak now or what needs to be an executive session, that's why I'm pausing, because I don't know. I definitely, I mean, I said to you, since we're talking about Byron in the dump right now, yeah, A, he definitely needs help, but B, we need to get the stop signs back up there. I went up last Friday, and there was like 6, 7 cars in there, and they were lined up on the front here, and there was a couple at the recycling and one over at the dump, and he was by himself. It was a dangerous situation. You know, I stopped, and my dad was with me, and I said, there used to be a stop sign here. I said, we're just gonna stop and wait, because he kind of looked at me like, what are you doing? And I said, there's too many cars up there. And you know, so A, we need to get a stop sign back up there again, wait for attendant to flag you in.
Yeah, it used to be like the
something.
wave.
Yes, there used to be a wave sign,
Yep.
or no more than 3 vehicles or 4 vehicles, wait for attendant to wave you in, something. We need something up there. I waited until we were down to 1 car, and then I pulled in, and then when I went up to get rid of my cardboard, I said to him, I said, would you like your stop sign back? And he said, I'd like something. He said, somebody about backed into me the other day. we definitely need that.
Yeah.
I do think he needs help, you know, 2-3 days a week. That was a Friday, it was on July 3rd, so it was the day before the 4th. So I'm sure a lot of people were trying to get there that day rather than Saturday it was closed.
Well, if you had the help, that would help alleviate the traffic jam.
That, exactly.
Some of it, yeah, yeah.
That stop sign and sign worked for years.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know where it went. It's been gone for about a year and a half. It's been gone for a while. But I think we definitely need to get that sign back up there. And then he does need help. I mean, when he wants to take a day off, we have had Jamie go up there, but, you know, he's got a lot of leave time built up. We need to have backup, and we can't depend on Jamie or, Jay to do it all the time.
Well, the town barn has helped, I think they helped us last year with some time off too, and we're planning on, or I should say, I was planning on talking to Mike and hoping that they would kick in the same. I know that they're down on employees right now, but in another month, they'll be back to full deal depending on the situation.
Right.
Or at some point they will be, and that would be the time for us to try to get them to kick in too, because as everybody knows, we got Jay and Jamie doing a lot of other things right now.
But by the time they come back, half the summer's gonna be over though. It seems like our need is immediate.
For that routine of 2 to 3 days a week,
Yes.
absolutely it is.
Yeah.
It's totally immediate, yeah. Grass fire and Plessis using fire hydrants.
Yeah, I came through Browns Corners and they were filling up fire hydrants there, I was gonna ask about that.
Jamie's there, so that means they got a meter and a
Yeah.
fire hydrant.
Yeah, there's gonna be an anomaly in the amount of water used as compared to how much we're billing.
They had a structure fire on Bailey Settlement just before I came here. I don't know whose it was.
I saw them all go out there earlier. It was a structure fire?
Yeah, that was Clayton, because when they were heading out that way, I text my other cook and I'm like, where are they heading?
I'm pretty sure we're getting water to the hydrant, not come through. It may come through from Plessis according to the water trail.
Not to beat this dead horse to death here, but it's one of the advantages of being in a water district,
What's that?
that. But the way it currently stands, they're not paying for that. The people that are in the water district that are actually customers are paying for that.
Well, being how far from a fire hydrant should help you on your fire insurance for your buildings.
So the problem is the bay will bill us for the water.
Right.
They're there for a reason, and you know, need to put that
I mean, I
fire on
realize
there like
if
that.
somebody's
But
house is
it's-
on fire, it doesn't
here's a good
matter at the
example of
moment,
a
but-
benefit.
Well, it's like when the boardwalk burned down. You imagine how much water got dumped on that?
Should have been on the river, shouldn't it?
A lot of it did too. They had two
I think it all should
fireboats.
have been.
Yeah,
But
So,
anyway.
anyway, that's a whole different topic.
let's go back to what we were talking about. So that was my thoughts. What does everybody else think about this full-time DPW person? I think we definitely need to put that on hold. There's a couple things we're waiting for. We're waiting for our most recent sales tax figures. And we're also waiting to find out.
What is the status on that? Sales tax? Wasn't it supposed to be June 20 or something like that?
Well, that, June 22nd is the deadline for everybody to submit.
Right.
And
pay.
most everybody is done electronically. Why the state of New York, I can't understand for the life of me how the state of New York doesn't know right now how Jefferson County did, and why they can't pass that on to help the local governments making decisions.
Well, I saw an article on News Junkie last week, after the 22nd, referring to, Onondaga County. I forwarded it to you guys.
Yeah,
And they got their information. I don't.
well, my understanding
It was
was
different
final information.
Yeah, it was
There
different
was some
information.
preliminary information that Onondaga was talking
Right.
about.
But I mean, we haven't got even that, right? I mean, I think that would at least give us an indication of what,
My understanding is preliminary information has not been shared with any of the outlying, the county, whatever the county has, I don't believe has been shared with any other municipalities.
I mean, Ronnie and I both spent time talking to Phil Reed and to the county treasurer, and she told me July 13th, which is Monday. She should have the numbers. So she's doing everything she can do.
Right.
It's a matter of when she gets the information. And I know Phil and Scott Gray have been pushing the state people that we need this
And you would
information.
think the state would be, I mean, knowing how crucial information is for every town.
Yeah.
And, you know, the counties, you know, that they would be like making sure this got here.
Right, well, half of that 8 cents is theirs. So I would think they would wanna know,
No,
you know.
I just, you know, every day, you know, much less month that goes by is some of the time we cannot recover.
Right. Yep,
So,
so I agree that because there's such a question mark over the rink, I would like to hold off on filling that position.
yeah.
Till we get a little more clarity,
A full-time one, or,
the full-time one, not the part-time. Part-time, I think we should do something tonight.
okay,
Everybody agree with that? So we'll hold off on
Yeah, I
the
mean,
full-time DPW labor.
We already
And-
know the rink doesn't operate in the black, but that's okay, because it's a community service, but there's a limit to how
Yeah.
far into the red.
Been that way since day one. The only thing we've been trying to do for the last few years is make the amount that it operates in the red be less.
Right.
So I need somebody to make a motion or whatever, as far as what you wanna do at the transfer site. And I guess what I'm gonna say, as far as whether we do 2 days or 3 days, I think we need to take a look at the numbers that Nicole has and do a generic resolution tonight to be 2 or 3 tied to what we feel is needed, and maybe have a discussion with,
Why don't we do something that we have never really done? Let's really define what exactly this role, this position gonna be, like, be very specific, what this position
civil
is.
service
going to
only
do.
allows for one thing, it's called labor.
Right, and it should, and we don't
And it has
want,
its-
you also don't wanna narrow yourself down too much, where if Brett feels that person should be doing something else somewhere else,
Well-
have the ability to do that.
Well, what are we hiring this person for? I thought it was just for the transfer station to help hire.
Right, but let's say something comes up and Jamie needs a hand somewhere,
Yeah, if they have a pump go up and Jay's on vacation,
right? All I'm saying is,
Yeah.
the intent is, but the ability to do something else should be
I
there.
understand that, but I mean, we do this over and over and over, and then we get ourselves ultimately in a little bit of trouble.
Well, usually because we don't hire according to the civil service description.
which we have been doing according to civil service description for over a year now.
Right,
And that's the labor, which covers a very broad area that lets us do what Ronnie's saying.
right.
And then one other thing that I would do with that person that's gonna be at the dump, and I already talked to, cause we were gonna do this last week before the situation happened with Ben, is what I would do is on Thursday or Friday of that week, ask Jamie and Jay to take the rink truck with the mowing, all the mowing equipment to the transfer site and leave it there for the weekend. And in the first couple hours of the morning, it's not so busy up there that you can't do something else, and you could mow that up there.
If
The second-
we made a motion to approve hiring a DPW laborer for a maximum of 3 days, and then that would give you the ability to go less
Yeah.
if you want it, but just so we haven't got to have a
Right.
meeting to go on a
Yeah.
hire.
I agree.
Okay,
That's what I need a motion for then.
okay, I'll make a motion that we
Ronnie's
hire a
motion.
DPW laborer for
Second.
a maximum of 3 days.
Second by Sandy.
And then there's
Any further discussion?
until when?
Well, we can address that at another meeting, I guess,
We can, I mean, the dump
Well,
is usually,
through Labor Day.
is it usually till Labor Day or the weekend
Okay, I'm
after?
just,
Yeah.
we're defining this.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the,
do they slow down that much in September? Cause usually
It might
things
not
around here
if,
stay.
it might not if the weather's decent and everything's
Yeah,
fine.
usually things stay going around here through September.
I'd almost be better off, we'd be better off not putting a end date on it. And say to be decided.
Are we gonna define when these 2 or 3 days are? Or is it 3? Is it 3?
maximum of 3,
Okay.
Yeah.
right. I mean, Labor Day's on the 7th this year.
And
And-
Sandy's got a good point, if we have a beautiful fall and it's nice up there, there's a lot of people here. That can be a better time of the year than right now,
Why do we have to put an end date on it? We don't, do we?
that's what I'm thinking.
I'm just asking,
Well, that's either issue.
are we gonna have some kind of rate involved here? How much money are we talking about?
What's that?
How much money are we talking about?
How much money are we talking about?
Yes.
We're talking about 3 days a week of a laborer at $19.56 an hour, that's 3 8-hour days, is 24 hours.
How much
And
does
she
Byron
gave
get?
us-
I was
How
gonna
much
say,
does
how much
Byron
does
get?
Byron get?
How much does Byron make?
Yeah.
16 something.
Oh, then why are we paying
I was
somebody
gonna
to
say
fill in
that.
for Byron more than we're paying Byron?
Go find somebody else, find somebody else.
That makes, then why are we paying Byron $3 an hour less? That is nuts.
That was the question I had, was
Very good point.
was the pay thing, because I thought, and this is just me, I thought the reason we advertised for a laborer, in my mind, was because a new person coming in would be less money than somebody that's already making more than what the main guy at the dump is. Now, if he's willing to come back at a lower rate, then okay, great. You know, I think that our old employee should be offered the position first, because he is, I mean, like I said, I've thought all along it was a layoff, which means they come back. He's not coming back in the same position at the same rate because the rink's not open, he's not the manager of a rink. But we'd love to give you first opportunity because you're a standing employee with us, but the rate to be a second hand at the dump to get us through is only $15 an hour. So if you want to come back, it's at $15 an hour. If you don't want to come back, then we go to applications that have been submitted. I mean, that's just my way of thinking.
I'd like to amend my motion to include the $15 an hour rate.
Does the benefit deal come into this too? Byron gets benefits, he gets health insurance, the
Right.
new guy won't get that.
Right, the total cost, but I mean, to have somebody come in at an hourly rate higher, even though the total package per hour that Byron gets is higher than say 1953 or whatever, still, the whole idea of having somebody come in part-time to help and having a higher hourly rate than the guy that's in charge, I'm comfortable amending the motion to be $15 an hour. That's where I'm coming from.
I have a second to that motion?
Do we even make the
I'll
first?
second that. I just,
No.
it defies logic to have the helper make so much more an hour. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. I understand where you're coming from, but
I don't think we have.
either Byron's
We'll
being
find out.
wildly underpaid, or his assistant is being overpaid. You know,
So we got a second?
I second it, yeah.
Any further discussion?
So to
I'm just gonna-
clarify,
I'm ju-
the motion is to have the supervisor hire a DPW labor, part-time DPW labor for a maximum of 3 days at a rate of $15 per hour. Is that what everybody understands?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're into discussion, got a motion by Ron, we have a second by Mike. And now we're into discussion. I'm not in favor of doing it that way, and I'm just gonna state my reason, and that's just because, you know, Trevor's been here, Trevor's did the rink, Trevor did the mowing, Trevor's done a lot of stuff for the town. I understand, Mike, your theory as far as the $19 versus the $15, it doesn't make sense. I think you all can see that we put it on our website and we put it in the Thousand Ounce Sun and we have one application. That ought to tell us a little bit about what there is out there for a pool of workers or that are interested in this job. And I also know from talking to Sandy and from me being at the dump and from me seeing the revenue from the dump, that place is busy. It's very busy. And so I'm gonna say that I'd like to see Trevor come back and fill that position for 2 or 3 days a week. So I'll just give everybody a heads up as to why I will not vote for that motion, but that's my discussion.
Was the $15 an hour rate mentioned in the ad for?
No. No,
Was there a rate in the paper?
no, that's what he just asked them, yeah, no.
Sorry.
No. Anybody else have anything to say, and we can vote on it? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. No.
I abstain.
What's that?
I abstain.
Sandy, your vote was what? Yes?
Yeah.
So we got 3 yeses, so the motion passes to,
But either we gotta raise Byron's salary. I mean, it is insane.
Well, we just made a decision.
I know.
My only question is, John, if you're gonna abstain, which we all have a right to abstain,
gotta say
is
why.
there a reason why you're abstaining?
We haven't discussed the personnel yet.
You wanna go into executive session and discuss?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Should we, well, if we could come out of executive session and we wanna rescind that motion and change where we're going, obviously we can do that.
Any board can change any decision at any time.
So I need a motion to go into executive session.
Can we wait to do that at the end of the meeting? I'm just for people that are listening,
Yep.
you know,
Okay.
make it easier for them.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
So we're at number 4, budget discussion of sales tax date and status of all town employees. As everybody knows, and we just talked about, we don't have sales tax. Maybe we want to adjourn this meeting at the end of this meeting till next Wednesday and have the sales tax figures, which we're supposed to have on Monday.
Yeah,
And
that was
have-
the whole point of this meeting.
And have a
Yep.
adjourned meeting that, at this point, we're gonna be talking about sales tax, or we're gonna be talking about our financial situation and condition as to what we forecasted 2 months ago as to where we are so far. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
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 It should be a real small agenda, so it'll go quick.
You guys started out small. Bob Schley would be proud of me. Town supervisor denied access to the town highway barn.
Well, we're gonna schedule a meeting next.
When we do a motion to adjourn, we'll adjourn to.
At the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I've sent some emails and I've talked to Mike about having, access to the highway barn. They put a new lock on the door that is a combination lock, and, I was given the combination, back a month and a half ago. And then, since then, I'd gone over there, and I actually go over there during the day, the times that this happened. I go over there during the day when the guys are inside working or they're whatever, and that door's always locked, so in the past, I've just punched the code in and I walked in the door, you know. It's a town building, right? And, but that combination's been changed. I have tried that a couple times since then, and, that's changed, so I obviously don't have access.
Did you ask him, what
What's
the new
that?
code, did you ask him what the new code was?
Yes, I've asked him twice in an email, and I've asked him verbally.
And what was the answer?
I didn't get an answer,
You asked them verbally,
no answer,
just silence?
yeah.
You didn't,
And the same thing with emails.
well, I can understand email, you just didn't answer the email. But you talked to them on the phone, or talked to them in person?
Yes, that was quite a while ago.
And he just stared at you and didn't say anything?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he did, or what he said, to be honest with you, but I didn't get it, that's kinda,
Okay.
that's the gist of the deal, yeah. I don't wanna say he said this or he said that, cause I'm not exactly sure what he said.
But as of today, you do not have the
No,
combination.
and I asked him within the week,
Right.
by email, yeah.
If I were you, I'd continue to ask them.
Yeah.
Just keep forwarding or resending the same email.
Yeah.
Is there a deal about the supervisor having access to everything the town owns?
Some, the Association of Towns should certainly be able to
Yeah, I
answer.
was
Didn't we enter into this situation?
Yes, we have, but
Before,
again,
Bob Schley told us that we had the right to have access to the buildings.
I would think so.
Yeah. Yep.
So there'll be a legal deal here somewhere.
I mean, I talked to Jay and Jamie about this yesterday, you know, they do public works work, they sometimes have equipment when they're doing something that they need to get from the highway barn, they don't have access either.
I think until the highway superintendent pays the taxes on that building, you should be able to get in there.
Yeah.
Or whoever changes the lot, I don't know who changes the combination, but it
It's a town lock.
doesn't make sense to me at all.
No,
Yeah.
not when the top person is not allowed access to it, makes absolutely no sense at all.
And actually, I was gonna say for maybe one of you guys to ask, because you two are also with the highway department.
I doubt if I get in either.
Well, it'd be good to ask and get an answer.
I was just gonna say, that's where I'm going with it, that's why I did couple of my asks in writing, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Just push the issue.
I mean, it continues with something that Sandy has brought up a couple times, and I'm gonna bring up again tonight, and that is that I just think would be helpful if the board would very much impress upon the highway superintendent that we really do need to have him at our monthly meeting.
Right.
I mean, we ran into things the last two meetings that we couldn't make decisions because we didn't have him here.
We could be asking about this right now.
Yeah, so.
Well, that's why I asked it the way I did. I mean, you tried the locks and they didn't work. Did you ask them? I mean, you know, just can't just like, it didn't work and then walk away. So you didn't ask, that's all I'm asking.
At one point, he had said to me that he had changed the code and that he only wanted his guys to have access to that building.
I would think the town supervisor should be able to get.
Like I said, I want to be careful about what I said, he said. I don't remember exactly, but it was something along his lines, those lines, you know.
You were probably taken back when you couldn't get in, right?
What's that?
You were probably dumbfounded when you couldn't get in.
Oh, yeah.
So you didn't remember everything that was said. I can understand that.
Yeah, like I said, I'd probably gone there 2 or 3 times after they changed that lock that I had the combination, and the guys are in there working. I don't, expect them to hear me pounding on the door or whatever, and I punched the code in and walked in. Talked to Mike or the guys or whatever I was in need of,
Mm-hmm.
And you've asked him 3 times and still have not gotten an answer. Yeah. Which is an answer.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Great.
Okay. I'll continue to work on that. We talked about the Butterfield dock repairs. The total is $35,300. We talked about taking the money out of the contingency. Is really the only place that we have money. And I also brought up the idea that for an unexpected expense, capital expense like that, we could rightfully make a motion to take it out of a fund balance, take it out of the general aid fund balance, which has over $1 million in it right now.
So we would basically increase our budget. In other words, because it would be a new source of revenue. I'm just trying to get it straight. So we're not taking from inside the budget, we're taking from outside the budget, which would be the fund balance, basically increasing the overall budget to pay for a one-time capital expense.
Exactly.
Okay, certainly makes sense.
And Nicole was worried initially about taking it from the contingency, which has $48,000 in it, because it's only halfway through the year, and she's worried about us taking that large of a chunk of money out of that contingency.
Yeah.
How easy is it to take $35,000 out of
Fund balance.
the $1 million?
I think it's just a matter of a resolution, motion
I
resolution.
mean, I realize you can't keep taking money away, but this is just a drop in the bucket.
Right. Well, the thing is, if we don't use that part of the contingency, it's gonna roll into the fund balance at the end of the year.
Right.
So it's kinda like, it gives us the opportunity to react quickly with a contingency.
And it leaves that safety net still in place.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
But we had $1,000 in that line item, and obviously that didn't even come close to touching it. So this is,
Yeah, well, this is an unexpected expense.
right, that's what I'm saying, it was
We
unexpected.
didn't know.
We guessed 1,000 and we ended up with a bigger number.
We didn't know until April, the day that Mike Tibbles called me, that he'd been out there on those docks and said, you need to go take a look at those docks.
Yep.
I went and took a look at them and looked underneath and saw the tubes were half full of water, and you guys know the rest of the story.
Right.
Yep.
So, And I think the repairs and the process that was done to repair those docks, it should make those docks good for 20 or 25 years.
So
And that's how long they were there initially.
Okay.
And the job that's been done on them is actually better than probably how they were originally, because we don't think that those steel tubes were even primed and painted.
They're filled with foam this time, right?
And they're primed and painted now,
And foam.
and foam,
They should last a long
And
time.
sealed.
The water's got nowhere to go if it gets in, yeah.
and sealed, yeah.
So we talking general fund or?
General fund,
A?
fund balance, yes.
General A.
Which is what that line item is in anyways.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we take $35,300 from general fund A. Oh, we already got this?
Well, no, he's got a, okay.
Yeah, it's our-
34,300.
So that's number 8,
Well, you're looking at a budget transfer, aren't you?
and that's in there, first one.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but,
this is,
yeah, but we still gotta make a formal motion.
right, the
Alan.
reason there's a yellow there is like, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it says right here.
Right, well, there's gonna be, no, but it doesn't have, yeah.
Says so, right there.
right, we still have to make a formal motion to allocate fund
Yeah,
balance money
right.
for
This
it.
is a two-part deal.
Exactly.
You gotta fund it first and then do that.
And then do that.
transfer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying we
while-
have a motion to accept these fund transfers by itself.
After we put the money in there, yeah.
So okay, now, the motion is gonna be, because apparently, because there's $1,000 already in there, that's why it's 34,300 versus the 35,300?
Yeah.
So are you gonna use up the $1,000?
Yes.
We're only gonna transfer
Well, you got to use that up first, and then you
Okay.
go,
Right, but the thing is, what we've gotta do is, there's two accounting, situations. We're going from the fund balance into an account, a regular account, and then we're gonna do this one, and the money's gonna come out of that account.
Yes.
What is the number of that account?
I guess question is, what is that called? We're moving it into.
Right, because that's where it gives us the ability to do
The
the,
number of that account will be right here in our financial, won't it? Into that doc fund?
it's in the budget.
what we wanna do is we wanna increase the revenue side.
The way she wrote it, it says if you want it coming out of the fund balance, which we do, a special resolution must be passed by the board at 5/31/2020, fund balance in general A.
Was, yeah,
And there's the line item that we're gonna put it into,
where?
isn't it the marina docks?
Okay, what page on?
I'm looking at her transfers, A72304.1.4.
What are you looking at?
So, yeah, she's showing as if it's in there.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
This.
I don't have, I've got a yellow line, I don't have an actual.
No, these first 3 lines.
Right, but we've gotta take the money from somewhere,
Right.
is what I'm getting at.
Okay, but that's
We're
what,
gonna take it from the fund balance.
well, that's what she's
Right.
showing, right. She's kinda showing the second half is what you're referring to.
Right, and so, okay, we got general A. So I guess my thought is, we take it from the fund balance, put it into the contingency, in other words, increase the contingency by 34,300, and then take it out of the contingency, in other words, that would be, we've gotta get it into the budget first, so we need 34,300.
Yeah, Nicole.
That's on page 5 at the very bottom.
Right, but we don't have a line item number. So we'll be taking it from the appropriated fund balance, and what was that number? But there is a number though, right? Yeah, okay. And I don't see that number of that line item in our financials. Is it in there someplace?
It'd be in the budget.
The fund balance is a fund balance.
Yeah, but it's in the
Here's our
section that doesn't have
P&L,
line
is the budget
items.
in here too?
It's in the balance sheet, it's not in the profit and
Here we
loss.
go. Income should be right here.
The fund balance is the fund balance. I don't think there's a
No, but the budget is gonna have unappropriated, in other words, the fund balance, we're using part of the fund balance already. What we wanna do is we wanna increase that.
Right. Well,
The
you're gonna,
question is, where is it?
well, no, you're
That's
gonna
what I did say, we
decrease the fund balance and increase that line.
things as to what it's going to. Now, I noticed on your transfers, you got 10,500 in personal services
If
and
you go halfway
23,000
down under the
in
equity
CE.
section,
That's
there's a
how
fund
that 30,
balance, general A.
that 33.5 is broken up.
That
So that,
she has.
right, that's where that'll come from.
Right.
But I'm trying to figure out where in our existing budget.
So
we're
is
gonna
it
put it into.
34,300 or 35,300?
And what's the second part you said?
What? In other words, we know where we're gonna take it out of. It's
Okay,
coming out
so
of
that
fund
was
balance.
wrong.
Right.
We need to put it into our regular budget.
Right.
Yep.
And somewhere in our regular budget, we're using fund balance right now.
Okay, but general, but wait here.
Yeah.
But that's
So
Marina
why
Docks,
can't we
that
take out
$1,000
of the
this year.
appropriated
We're
fund
gonna make
balance,
that $1,000.
10,500?
That would be the second half. That would be
Appropriate
the
fund
second
balance
half.
Okay.
to
right.
Docks PS, and then why can't we take 23,000 out of the appropriated fund balance and move it to Docks CE, correct? Okay? Well, I think we ought to split them up per line item as it is right here. Well, it is all gonna come out of fund balance, we're just gonna take it out in 3 different amounts. So that it matches the 3 line items that you have. We don't?
Can I talk to her for a second?
Yeah. Okay, well, I just think we're gonna wanna do it that way, just so clarity, so it shows exactly what it is, and it adds up to 34,300. So, okay?
Before you hang up,
Hold on, what?
where are we gonna move, where are we moving it into the budget?
We're gonna move it into those 3 line items that she has on the top of that sheet. We're gonna move it into the Marina Docks PS, Marina Docks CE, and EE benefits. Those 3 line items are right there.
Right, but those are 3 expenditure items.
Yes,
Right, we gotta put it into the income side also, so that it balances out. So my question is, where are we taking and putting it in the income side?
so where's the income side that we're putting it into? Appropriated fund balance?
And where is that in the budget? That's what I was looking for.
Where's that in the book? It's an income?
Right, that's what I've been looking at in the.
Yeah, and there may not be any, because there may not be any appropriated fund balance in general A. So we have to create it.
Okay, so let me ask you, so we did not use any at all when we created our 2020 budget?
No, we didn't use any appropriated fund balance in the general A, did we? Budget? Are you there? Well, it has to go into the income side to come out on the expense side, okay? So where does it go into the income side? It goes into what you said, appropriated fund balance.
And my question is,
So, and is there an appropriated fund balance line item in that budget now? I don't believe there is. Oh, there is. Well, then I should be able to see it right here.
right, where is it?
So we did use fund balance in the general A fund, you're saying? Oh, I know we can, I was just, if it was in the budget, I was just gonna go to that where it was in the budget. If it wasn't, then we're gonna add a line item that says appropriated fund balance. I don't think we did either, that's what I was saying.
If we didn't, that would account for why we can't find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we'll make a new line item.
Yes.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay, I think we got it figured out, okay? Yeah, thank you, yeah. We didn't use any fund balance
Well, that answers it.
in the, I mean, you don't see it on the revenue side of
No,
general A, right?
no. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we, transfer $34,300 from the general A fund balance to a new income line item, which would be unappropriated fund balance
Yes.
in our 2020 budget. So that would be the first motion, followed secondly by that.
That's a motion by Ron, second for that motion,
I'll second that.
second by Mike, any
Yeah.
further discussion?
So the idea would be, that their second motion would be to take it out of there
And then
And
split
those
it
three
up this
expenses.
way.
and increase those.
Those
Right,
three
split it up
expenses.
this way.
Okay, so all those in favor of the first motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none.
Okay, now, the question I've got now is, right now, if you think about this, okay, right now, our income exceeds our expenses right now by 34.3, as far as the budget goes. I think all we need to do is increase those expense items, because we've already got the income there. I don't think we need that credit, is what I'm getting at.
You're right.
The motion that we just made, I think, takes care of that credit.
Yep.
So I would make a second motion. A second motion would be to increase, expense items, which we have in front of us, A 72301.1.1, followed by, and that's 10,500, followed by the next one, which is 23,000 even, followed by the third one, which is 800, instead of getting into all the detail, we've got that in front of us.
Yep.
So I would make a motion that we increase those line items, by that amount.
Motion by Ron,
I'll second that.
second by Sandy, any further discussion? So that basically takes the unappropriated fund balance that we just made a resolution to move into the income side, and then shows where we're expensing it on the
Right.
expense side.
We put the income, so we have the ability,
Yep.
and then we just spend it on the other side.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none.
No. We in about 1 minute time, we made it big and then we made it zero.
Right.
Okay.
Okay,
What's this, Nicole's guy says, if you want it coming out of fund balance, a special resolution must be passed by the board May 31st, 2020, what's that?
Two sentences, I thought it was the same thing. She's just saying that on the 31st of May, that's what the balance was. I thought it was in the same sentence.
Okay.
I thought she wanted the resolution to be dated the 31st.
Yeah, that's why I wanna make sure.
Right, no, it's a separate, you see the period there.
Yep.
She's just saying the fund balance
Okay.
was that, yeah. I
No
thought the same
question.
thing. And actually, I think Sandy just looked and it's the same as the end of June too. Or actually, these are all end of May numbers right here. Yeah.
so we might as well do the second budget transfer. Really, it's the first budget transfer, fire prevention control. This was a motion that we made 3 months ago to fund the $7,500 to the fire department. And again, where are we gonna get that money, from the contingency or fund balance? That's what we have to decide. That was when the fire department came back to us for that $7,500 that we had said we were gonna give them next year. And we moved it to this year because they needed it, because they kept the ambulance and now have 2
It was
ambulances.
the 15,000, we split it in half. Yeah, I remember. So we're basically looking at the same thing as either the 48,000 in contingency
Right,
or
or transfer in as we did on the other.
just like we just got done doing.
Right, right.
So we'll still have over $40,000 in contingency if we do just take it out of contingency and do a budget transfer, as it says here, and not go into the fund balance.
It might be smart to do this, what we just got done doing.
Go ahead, fund balance?
Yeah.
Cause I mean, the magnitude is a lot smaller.
Yeah, but it's only July.
Yeah. But we haven't used any of the
But I was
contingency
gonna
yet,
say,
have
we
we?
haven't used anything yet,
Alright,
And we're 6 months through the year.
and we're 6 months through the year. I would say use the fund balance. No,
or contingency.
contingency.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that is in here somewhere also. That's on the expense side. Is that under A or what?
Yes. 48,000.
Okay. You know, where it is, just means that we could actually. It's 48,000 even, is it?
I thought it was.
Here's a dumb question. How much of the contingency did we use last year?
A 1990, she says, is the number.
Yeah, okay.
Find it?
Yep, yeah,
What
zero, yep,
That's what, 48,000?
yep.
What page is it?
It's, page 4 of the, under the, profit and loss.
She says we used all the contingency last year.
All of it.
Well, just to get us, I make a motion that we, transfer $7,500 out of A 19904.1.4, the contingency, and transfer it into FD 34104.6.404, Alex Bay Fire Protection.
That's a motion by Ron. For a second? Second by John. Any discussion?
I mean,
I understand where you're coming from, but because
I could go either way.
the magnitude.
No, well, forgetting even the magnitudes, I mean, we've already crossed the line a little bit going into the general aid fund balance. There's nothing saying we couldn't do that for the contingency and further on the year, so it's just,
Right.
it becomes a moot point.
The fund balance is always gonna be there.
So I could go either way with this, so I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I mean, and as Ronnie said earlier, what we don't use in the contingency fund rolls into the fund balance at the end of the year.
Yep.
We used all the contingency last year. I texted her back and asked her on what, and I don't have an answer.
It would be wonderful.
But she's not gonna have the records in front of her and tell me what we
that's not,
used them on, so.
No, wouldn't expect.
I mean, if there was one big item or
That's
something
a
that,
whole year.
I just can't remember what that was all about.
Right.
I think as it gets to the end of the year and you got line items that are over, those transfers start coming out of contingency, which is a lot different than it used to be in past years, because if you remember in past years, the way you used to do it, they never did budget
wait till the bitter
transfers
end.
till January of the
Right.
following year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you got 2.5 pages of,
We're actually doing it as the need comes
yeah,
up.
so which is
might
what
be
we were
smarter
advised to
to do
do
it
by the
this way.
comptroller,
Right, yep,
okay?
You know, this might be smarter to do it that way, because then we get a better feel for what's happening to the contingency.
I don't know, did I take a vote on that?
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none. Okay,
Okay, now that was part one of this, or is that part one and two?
that's 1 and 2.
that's 1 and 2.
One and two, okay, so we're done with this.
Yep,
Okay, you're gonna send your thing around for signatures?
Yeah.
you gotta put those, account numbers in there.
Before we go into executive, we got one more item, discussion and action, if we're gonna take it in regards to hiring a deputy clerk. See the New York State Clerk's Manual on the board hiring a deputy clerk. I sent everybody something. I guess I don't have it here in front of me. You guys, anybody have a copy of that section out of the,
That's something you emailed us?
yeah, out of the Clerk's Manual?
Yeah, so it's on your phone, I think I remember.
Now I can read it. What did I say in that thing? Did I say page 12, didn't I? Section 30-10, page 12. If the town clerk is absent or unable to act, and there is no duly appointed and qualified deputy present and able to act, the town board may appoint a duly qualified person as deputy town clerk for a period no longer than the absence or incapacity of the town clerk. So, my interpretation of that is that she hasn't appointed a deputy town clerk as of now. That tells us that we can appoint a deputy town clerk, and by the way I'm reading that, we can appoint one for each time that this happens. That we need to, that she tells us that she's gonna take vacation
How could
time,
we
or
possibly find
I
a
think our
person?
purpose here is we just wanna have the office staffed, or we just wanna have the taxpayers have somebody answer the phone when they call.
Who's that gonna be?
Huh?
Yeah, how are you gonna get somebody that's willing to do that?
How would we?
No, I'm just saying, read that again, it's when she's Okay, we don't know when that's gonna happen until it happens.
No, so I think the ideal situation is to find somebody that's willing to do it on an on-call basis or on a, I mean, for instance, this time right now, we have notice that as of next Wednesday. So if we had somebody that we had,
Who would do that?
That's the question, who would do that?
We gotta find somebody first.
Yeah.
Right, yep.
Who can hang around and wait for the phone call, and then
Yeah.
5 minutes?
I mean, I would think we'd wanna have somebody with at least some qualifications, you know?
yeah,
Well, yeah, we're not talking about appointing the actual person tonight, are we? And we're just, do we have, I mean, we now know.
the
we have-
town board may appoint a person as deputy town clerk for a period no longer than the absence of the town clerk. So basically, technically, I mean, this is kinda crazy and doesn't maybe fit our situation, but if you have somebody that we found that would be willing to come here on short notice, or maybe it's not gonna be short notice, or, like I said, for next week, we have notice today is Wednesday, and we need somebody a week from today, for 3 days.
How would we fund this? And how would they get paid?
I thought we went through this before, I mean, we're paying the town clerk.
I think Nicole showed us what monies was left here.
I appreciate what
We
you're,
used $960 out of $3,000, so we got a little over $2,000 to fund it.
so what would be the hourly rate that we would propose for this individual?
I would say it's similar to what the deputy clerk's hourly rate was at the last one we had, which I think was $14 or $14.50.
I'm just, I don't wanna, I appreciate what
I understand
you're
what
doing,
you're saying. How does anybody wanna take care of this situation, is what I'm asking them. That's the only thing that, I'm trying to follow the books. Sandy had pointed this out to me earlier, that we do have the ability to bring somebody in. That's basically what this is saying. I was preparing a notice to put on our website for when Jesse is not here, that says to call extension 2 and to go to Nicole. And one of the reasons I was doing that is that we have listened to messages that have been left, and some of the phone calls are very generic questions about, what are the dump hours, when is the dump open, how do I do this, how do I do that, you know? Jimmy Costello used to call quite a bit looking for death certificates that he needed. You know, we've had other people, I've had people that I've talked to about marriage licenses. And the only thing I could do then is tell them that when Jessie would be in, when she had told us that she would be back. In this case, she'd be back the following Monday. My reasoning here is just so that they have somebody answer the phone, rather than if you guys hung out at this office and listened to that frickin' phone ring in there, and go on and on and on, as everybody has heard.
How long is $3,000 gonna last if we've got somebody ready to step in?
Well, we'll figure out $15 an hour. We had figured out how many hours it was good for.
We're gonna need it quite a lot if we got somebody doing
200 hours.
200 hours.
200 hours,
Yep. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Which divided by 8-hour days is 20 some odd days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it sounds like I mean, we know we have the ability to, question is who?
Yeah.
And
Well, and I don't think we have the answers for that tonight. If you wanna put a ad in the paper and ask, even though we could be wasting our time, but we could try to see if there is somebody that would do that on an on-call basis. I mean,
Well, we had that with Sherry, but she was there all along.
yeah,
That's where the problem been.
yeah.
it's gonna be hard to find anybody that's just, it's not a hit or miss.
Well, I mean, it's as long as,
And it's all,
and when she knows she's got cover, she won't be here.
Well, you'd almost have to have about 2 or 3 people, because it could be somebody to call up and say, you know what, I'm doing this today.
Think about school, okay, school, we have a sub list.
Yeah.
And they just start going down the list when they know they need somebody, which is exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
And really, I think what we're talking about is somebody to answer the phone. Because in fairness to Nicole, when you're doing numbers and you get
We can't
interrupted
push
with a
everything
phone
off on
call,
her.
it's hard to be productive.
We can't keep pushing everything off on her.
Right.
What about, the girl, and, cause she's actually hired by us, but she's not really doing much work right now, the youth coordinator. She's not doing much work right now.
Cassidy.
I wanted to call her Kathy, that's why I stopped, cause I knew that it wasn't quite right. What about her, if she could help us out a little bit, because, I mean, she's technically an employee of ours, but right now there's not a whole lot of work, but maybe there is something in her line that she could be doing while she's here answering the phone.
It's a possibility.
I mean, I really hate, you can't call them a deputy clerk, you can't.
No.
They're not, we have the ability to hire and fire, period. We also have the ability to modify the hours that the town office is open, but I don't think, I mean, there's nothing that pisses me off more than when I try to go to a place and it's closed, and it's like, why is it closed? I think someone needs to be here, I don't know.
We had that before, but the problem was, the deputies here all the while, had to be.
Right. Well,
I can't put it any more plainer than, you know,
what's been proven over the last couple of years, that the office runs very well with one
there's
person.
just one, yeah.
As long as somebody, the problem is when there's zero people here. So to have,
See, that's one of the things that I don't think Sandy knows, is that when Ronnie says it's been proven over the last couple of years, we had a period of time that was how long that Ellen was not here.
right, Ellen was
9
not here
months.
from the 1st of January
We
to the
discussed
30th of
this
June.
earlier.
And so, and we offered help to Jessie, and she said she didn't need any. So that to me proves from January 1st to June 30th, one person's sufficient. And then from June 30th of last year until December 31st of last year, Sherry was in the office by herself almost all the time. So that proves one person's okay for that time period too. So with those two completely different sets of circumstances, one person's enough. And talking to other towns, they only budget a small amount of money for a deputy clerk. And that's for when the clerk goes on vacation or sick or something like that, kind of on an as-needed basis. And that's why we took what we budgeted for town clerk, or deputy clerk, down to 3,000 to reflect that.
It's not fair to the taxpayers to pay
No.
two people to do this job.
No, not when it's been proven, it only takes one.
Correct. So I don't,
And to clarify this situation a little bit further is that, you know, Jessie is the elected town clerk and elected tax collector, okay? In addition to those wages that she got for those, she got wages in a couple other categories for doing the water and sewer and so on and so forth. And when I say a couple different categories, maybe the water was, she got she got money from each water district for doing that work. She got money from the sewer district for doing that work. And I wanna say it added up to $7,000 or $8,000 roughly.
Yep.
Okay, well, we got to what time last year and the bills had to go out. And it didn't happen, and she wasn't available to send the bills out, so we had no choice. But we got a hold of the people that had the software program, and they got somebody here, and they trained Nicole very quickly, and that's how come Nicole's doing the water and sewer billing now. So,
Nicole's here every day.
yeah. So that's kind of where we're at, and going back to what Ron and John were saying, is that we had the deputy town clerk was working, how many hours did we set her to, 32?
28 hours.
28.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was, for quite a while, she was working that by herself, right?
Right,
Yeah.
because this is what we put on our website last year in July, which I'm gonna read in a minute.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, I'll volunteer to come in next Wednesday and Thursday, I can't do Friday.
You should-
And I'd rather, and I mean, I'll answer the phone and I'll read, I mean, I can do I can do things to keep myself occupied and busy. Because I don't know anything in the office, I can't do any of that, but I could answer the phone, I don't wanna be paid for it. I mean, we are
I wonder if
supposed to
there's,
be helping to do this, but like I say, Fridays I can't.
right, I wonder, this is kind of off the wall, but wonder if there's like the Rotary Club or some of the other service clubs, if they've got some retired people that would like to volunteer and come up and answer the phone. I mean, we'd be willing to pay them. I think we're all in agreement, we're willing to pay somebody to come up here.
And my first choice is Cassidy.
Yeah,
See if she could be here.
yep.
Right.
To pay somebody to come up with the town clerk's job.
To answer the telephone,
But that's a good,
just so that at least we get something.
And
that's an interesting idea.
to help answer your question, John, we got $1,900 to pay somebody to do that job.
The rest
So,
of the year,
when we run out of that money, then then there becomes another problem.
right,
Because as happened last year, we had looked to have Jessie give some of her wages for us to hire somebody to fill in those times.
right. Which is in this notice that we had also.
And as I said, I did run it by Nicole today about if we put it on the website to have them go to extension 2. I think the other thing we could do is, Nicole's here, as John said, she's here 5 days a week. We have her answer extension 1 and extension 2.
I'm with John, I think that, you know, you keep adding to,
Oh, yeah.
or, you know, after, you know, that's not her job, not really. But I'm thinking, well, how much could it possibly cost to put a notice in the TI Sun, say the town of Alexandria is looking for, you know, somebody that could be, you know, come in as an as-needed basis and give an hourly rate
Yep.
to fill in for the town clerk when the town clerk is in her
Well, I wouldn't say
absence.
talk about town clerk, it's somebody to answer the telephone,
Yeah.
because this person's not gonna be trained on doing.
And I agree with you,
Okay.
but I would go the route that Sandy said first. I would ask
No, I
Cassie.
agree, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying that's,
This was already employed, but that's right.
but that should,
Yeah.
you know, Cassie's just, you know, pick up the phone and call her. What I'm referring to is, you know, people that don't even know that what we're talking about.
See,
What about Marilyn?
What's that?
Marilyn loves to do
Marilyn, yeah.
different stuff, she loves to talk on the phone, she'd love to answer that telephone.
Right, and it needs somebody that is aware of the town, that can answer questions, yeah, she could.
Who did you say, Marilyn?
Canesta, right? Yeah,
You know?
They all knew who I was talking about.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's
There's
watching.
only 2, that one's in Florida, right?
Yep,
Yep.
yeah, that's a good, there's a couple names right there. The one thing I was gonna say about Cassidy is, in her agreement to do the youth coordinator, she only has certain times and certain days that she can work, that she is scheduled to be here and do that work. That's all on hold because of COVID-19, but she has another job, and she might have 2 other jobs.
right,
Well, she was going to school, but school's out.
Right.
right.
So,
I mean, we could offer it to her and then talk to Marilyn,
and I think we got a couple good suggestions right there.
yeah, that'd be good.
Yep. So Marilyn, if you're listening, call us tomorrow.
Right,
Sure still jump on it.
Ronnie, you?
yeah, I'd like to, I got a couple things I'd like to go over. We all got an email today, and the email was from, our town clerk. It was addressed to it was addressed to the supervisor, everyone else was copied in. And, what it said is, I wanted to let you know I'll be using some vacation time and taking July 15th through the 17th off next week. I can advertise it in the paper for Wednesday and have Brent put it online as well. If the board allows, I can have phone calls forwarded to me. I'll be in the area so I can help anyone who needs it. So I'm assuming the advertising meant that the office was gonna be closed, right? Okay.
I assume.
Okay, my reply, which I replied to everyone, to our town clerk was vacation with a question mark, and I said, what were all the other days called? Meaning, these aren't the first days that she has not been in the building. The answer I got back was, I've been here 12 years, I've been here for 12 years, I have vacation time to take sorry if you feel differently. My answer back to that was, that wasn't my question. How many of the days that you have already taken off in 2020 were vacation, and what did you call the others? Also, according to your records, how many vacation days do you have remaining in 2020? The answer I got back from that was, I'm an elected official, just in case you forgot. I don't answer to the board. I would like for you to stop harassing and bullying me. Now, I'd like to actually ask the four of you the questions that, looking out for the town, as I'm elected to do, did that seem to be harassing and bullying to anybody here? Because I'd be happy to change the way I ask questions. I thought they were legitimate questions.
I guess the one thing that I wanna say, when I saw the email about the vacation, is the first thing I thought about when she talked about vacation is that, and I'm not totally taking into account that she is an elected official, and I don't know how vacation times are tracked. But we don't track her vacation times or sick time or personal time or any of that stuff. Nicole tracks the employees via our personnel policy of all those times. So when she has said that she has vacation time to take, I understand Ron's question. Well, if there's an accumulation of vacation time and she's
Sure.
taking vacation time,
Yeah.
then where is she at in that
Right.
deal?
Because what I'd like to do is go over 2019. Now, just kind of bear with me with the math, okay? 52 weeks in a year, okay? 5 work days in a week. That's 260 days. So that's a potential of 260 days that you work. Town of Alexandria has 10 paid holidays in the course of a calendar year. So that means there's 250 possible days that you can work for the town of Alexandria. Last year, our town clerk was not in the building 116 full days. In addition to that, there was 20 other half-days, which is the equivalent of 10 full days. So that's 126 days that our town clerk was not in this building last year. That's just over one half. 250 possible days that you can work in a year, half of that's 125, 126, she was not in this building. Now, we were a little frustrated a year ago because that all happened last year without any advance knowledge other than that she was gonna take some time off. But we had no idea the magnitude, when she was going, when she was gonna come back. So because of that, we had to put this on our website last year. And I'll read it for anyone that's listening right now. This was July 19th last year. The town board regrets to inform the residents of the town of Alexandria that due to the extended absence of the town clerk, the hours of the town clerk's office have been reduced from 42 hours per week to 28 hours per week. The town board has asked the town clerk to inform the town as to how long she will be away from the office. She has not yet done so. The town clerk is a full-time elected position, and the board also budgets for a part-time deputy town clerk who is hired by and reports to the town clerk. The payroll cost to the town of Alexandria for these two employees is just under $110,000. The board does not have room in the budget for a third person to cover the town clerk's absence unless the town clerk is willing to voluntarily forego part of her salary to fund that person. During her absence, she will be drawing her full salary. Hopefully going forward, the town clerk will break her silence and inform the board as to what her plans are. Please see below for the times the office will be open each day. We highly recommend calling ahead, we put the number, to confirm that the office will in fact be open. The town board apologizes for the inconveniences caused by this reduction in services. And then we had a red block that said new town clerk office hours, Monday and Tuesday, 8 a.m. to noon. Wednesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Friday, 8 a.m. to noon. And then we had an actual section of the general municipal law, which says, general municipal law provides that the governing board of certain entities, such as a town, may grant vacations, sick leaves, and leaves of absence, with or without pay, to its, quote, officers or employees, and adopt rules and regulations in relation thereto. Section 92 does not, on its face, distinguish between elective and appointive officers. It then says, it is well established, however, that an elected officer receives the salary fixed for the office as an incident of the office, and the absence of the elected officer from his or her duties on account of sickness, vacation, or personal reasons generally will not deprive the officer of his or her salary. So as I stated, last year, our town clerk was in this building less than half of the time that the building was actually opened. That all happened without any actual written notice to us. The situation we have now is, today, we received written notice. And so I think it needs to be addressed. This is the way I choose to address it, because she is now telling us that she is going to use part of her quote-unquote vacation next week. What I wanted to know was, how many other days prior to this did she consider to be vacation? And how many days does she feel she has remaining? I don't know how anyone who lives in this town thinks it's okay for an elected official to attend to their office less than half of the time and still receive 100% of their salary. And I also wanted to make it very clear, which this little notice did, and this was on our website for an extended period of time, until the town clerk was interviewed by Channel 7, which then she told the Channel 7 that she was coming back to work full-time the first part of September. And then it ended up being sometime after that, before that actually happened. And we decided to leave this up until her attendance did actually become full-time. So this was up probably 7 or 8 weeks, something like that. So,
Just to interject a second, Ronnie, the Town of Alexandria's personnel policy, for a 12-year employee, vacation time you earns 15 days per year of vacation for 12 years. Sick time you earn 1 day per month or 12 days per year, and personal time you earn 3 days per year. That's just according to our personnel policy.
okay, so according to the personnel policy, someone who has worked for the town for 12 years, theoretically, between vacation, sick time, and personal time, they, on a yearly basis, would be 30 days.
Yep.
Which we're comparing 30 days to 126 days. So,
Yep.
we obviously have a problem. I'd like to thank our town clerk for emailing us today, advising us that she was planning on taking vacation time off, because it gave me the opportunity to highlight the frustration that we've had, and the number one reason why in November, the people that live in the town of Alexandria are going to be able to make a decision as to whether this position should be elected or appointed. And rest assured that if it was an appointed position, what our town supervisor just read would be in effect, which would be a maximum of 30 days. Because if you qualified for vacation, if you were actually sick, if you wanted to use your personal time, that is a number. And it's not 126. So anyway, I just wanted to clear the air. And the one difference between this year and last year is that she has now told us when she's going to start taking the time off. So this certainly looks like 2019 all over again. And we'll see what happens. Thank you for indulging me.
Is the difference between an employee and elected official?
Is what now?
An employee, you have what an employee can do. Not the same as an elected official?
No.
Yes, there is, between an employee and an elected official, there's a huge difference.
Well, elected official, I don't believe there's nothing in writing, it says.
The personnel
this is how
policy,
much-
none of that applies to
Elected
an
official.
elected
No,
officials, there is a big difference.
That's what I meant,
Yeah.
Okay.
it does not.
I
Right.
just wanted
Huge
to,
difference.
If you are appointed, you become an employee,
Yes,
and the
yes.
personnel
what you
policy
just read
does
does
come
not have
into
any
effect.
bearing on what's
No,
going on.
No, not at all.
That's my point I'm trying to make.
But I know,
No,
and
you're right.
I'm glad you did, because a normal employee of the town that's been here for like 12 years, that's what they'd be entitled to.
Right.
And I guess it begs the question, why should an elected official be able to take 4 times as much, over 4 times as much?
Which helps us answer another question that when we had the public hearing on the appointed, positions that we talked about, a couple of times in the messages that came into Sandy and I were, what is our plan?
Right.
What do we plan to do? And what Ronnie just read and what we're saying is, if it turns to an appointed position, we're gonna have a policy that they're gonna adhere to, that has the vacation time and the personal time and so on and so forth in it.
Right.
That they would have to abide by, and we will have an employment contract. And if they don't abide by that employment contract, then we have grounds to replace them, or however we word it in the contract, whether there's a disciplinary process first, or whether there's something as far as pay, or whether there's termination.
Right.
Chances
That's
are
all.
there won't be any issues. If they're appointed, there probably will be no issues.
Well, right, and the thing is, if the person's appointed, they will have, according to personnel policy, a certain amount of personal time available to them. And if they need to exceed it for whatever reason, they may have problems at home or whatever else, okay, it would be without pay. And the fact that it's without pay gives us the ability to pay someone else to go in there without having to add to like the $110,000 that we were already paying. And there's people out in the town that are trying to say that we did not accept, or, well, the way it was stated right on here, wherever I've got it here. Okay, unless the town clerk is willing to voluntarily forego part of her salary to fund that person. Now, there are people in the town of Alexandria that are saying that that did happen, and we said no. So tonight is an opportunity to clear the air. That is not the case. We did not say no. If that had been offered, we would have said yes, and we would have used that money to make the town clerk office hours full-time instead of having to reduce it, because we would have had the financial ability to do that. That is just simply not true. And I'm just concerned that the email we all got today is the start of 2019 all over again.
Okay. Now I think we should do a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person. Somebody wanna make that motion?
I'll make the most speak on it.
Motion by Mike, second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none. I'll go turn off that mic.